Okay, we're pulling out of the old Ford dealer here. I'm gonna go through the windshield, but this little building here on the left, which is a barber shop now, used to be a gas station called Ed's Refinery, and it was kind of a popular place for the young crowd to go and get gas and, you know, candy and chips and crap like that. And then we round the corner here, and there's some railroad tracks right up here where that truck just crossed. And then this building here used to be an old lumber yard. It's kind of a lot of stuff in Mason has turned to antiques, and this one is the same thing. But yeah, this used to be Mickelson Baker Lumber Store. Used to get lumber here. It's been closed for, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. I think they still have some lumber here, but it's not like it used to be.
It's all barnwood.
It's all what?
Barnwood.
Oh, they sell barnwood here now, is what Ben's telling me. And then this elevator, I don't think this is active anymore because it's actually behind us a ways, is the new elevator. But this is where they load the trains, or they used to. This green building here, I've been in there several times. There's a couple locomotives and stuff in there. There's train tracks that go into it, but I used to work on all the trucks for the company that runs this and runs this line of track. Going down through there. This is Americhem right over here on the left, that blue building. That's Ben drives semi for them right now. And then this is all Antiques District here. This all used to be related to the train tracks being there. You know, for different things. There's an events place here. I don't know how popular it is anymore. I know when I had the shop open, they were pushing it pretty hard to try to be an event center in town. And then over here, it's a restaurant now. Is the Mason Depot restaurant, but this actually used to be the train depot in town years ago. Up ahead of us now, because we've circled back, this is the active elevator now, where all the farmers in the area go to sell their grain and stuff, and then it's loaded on the train and taken out of town from here. But, yep, that's the grain elevator. Okay, we're gonna move on and go look at some more stuff. Okay, this is the old sheriff department here from like the 50s or so. We're about a mile out of town. It actually looks pretty nice, but that used to be the Ingham County Jail when it was uptown. Like I said, we're about a mile out of town, and they moved it out here. I don't know how they did it, but they did. I didn't watch that. I think I was in the Army when they moved it. But yeah, that's the old jail. My mom and my dad both worked in that jail. My dad was a patrol officer, and my mom worked in the jail. That's actually how they met. And that was back in the 50s, 1950s. So it's pretty cool, I think. Yeah, it's different from any of the architecture out here. You can certainly tell, but it follows all the old Mason buildings were all made out of brick. But that's pretty cool, I think. Used to be the jail. All right, we're gonna go look at what the jail is now. Okay, we're coming on the road in here. This is where my mom worked here. My dad had to medically retire before this place was built. I think in 1964, if I remember right. But this is the Ingham County Jail. This is the old side that's been here the longest. My mom worked, it's kind of hard to tell right here from the trees, but there's like an upper level there, and that's where the female prisoners were kept. I don't know what goes on in there now, but that's where the female prisoners were kept, and that's where my mom worked. And when we were kids, she worked 24 on and 48 off, so they had an apartment up there for her. And we actually would get babysat while she was at work. And a lot of the times they were women that my mom had guarded while they were inmates and decided that they were good people, and a few times they moved in with us while they got their start going, and my mom gave them a break, and you know, everybody that she did that with turned out to be a really good person. So you know, back when my mom, this here used to be the sheriff's quarters. I don't know if it still is, right here. But back when my mom was a deputy here, you know, they didn't really have any crime. It was like bad check writers and, you know, shoplifting and dumb stuff like that. It didn't seem like, and I'm sure they did, but we used to play in there as kids. We'd run up and down the halls where all the prisoners were kept, and we'd climb on the bars, and the prisoners would play with us, and way different now. But yeah, we used to spend a lot of time in there, you know, at different times. When my mom was working, we'd have to go up and show her. And then this side here is the new side, and this is where 55th District Court is now. And you know, it's a pretty active court there. There's court there every day now, but that was all added on, this part back here. And I believe that there's a tunnel that goes underground from where the prisoners are kept over to this side where they go to court and stuff. So, and then of course, if you know, have a traffic ticket and you want to fight it, or somebody's suing you or whatever, this is where you'll end up here in Ingham County. But yeah, that's the old part over there. You can kind of see the difference in the color of the brick. And then this is all the new part in the court. Right here's where you go in if you got to go to court. I actually went here several times when I had the shop open. We were always suing somebody, or somebody was always suing us. This building over here is the shop, is the road commission. Over here to the side, the Ingham County Road Commission, Drain Commission, I think, or maybe, yeah, this is the Drain Commission, not the Road Commission. Up until about 6 months ago, I worked on their vehicles, and I told the guy, the main guy that used to run it, he's about to retire, and I told him when he retires, so am I, from working on the Drain Commission vehicles. Don was a really good guy to work with, and I just didn't want to start over with somebody else. So, but yep, this is the whole jail complex. What's this building ahead of us here?
Animal control.
Oh, okay, this is animal control right up here in front of us. It used to be not quite right here. It used to be over there somewhere, I think, over by where them silos are at or something. I'm not real sure, but it didn't always used to be here. So yep, that's the animal commission, or the animal control. You can see through the woods there, if you can. It's the Mason bus garage where all the school buses are kept. That's actually entered from a different road over on the other side there. But yeah, this is all the drain. I used to work on all those trucks there. So yep, anyway, that's this area, and we're off to the next place. Okay, that building over there is the Mason Bowling Alley. I used to hang out there a lot when I was younger, not really to bowl, but they had a lot of pinball machines, and I was into pinball, so I went there and played pinball a lot. This is back when, this is back when video games, the only thing we had was Pong and tennis tourney. There wasn't really anything else, so pinball was big. But what I'm looking at here right now is, when it closed, it was Andrews Chevrolet. They didn't want to play the game with General Motors and do the building update, so they lost their dealership, and then they went independent, and they only lasted a few years after that. But years ago in the 50s, this was Al Rice Chevrolet, and my dad worked here, and he was a mechanic like I am, and he'd work here he'd work out here during the day, and then when he got off his shift here, he'd run across the street over there to the sheriff department, or no, excuse me, it was uptown then, the old building we looked at out on Howell Road, and he'd go uptown to the sheriff department, and then he was a patrol officer for the afternoon shift, so he worked 2 jobs. But yeah, this was the Chevrolet dealership that he worked at. It's changed hands a few times, and the name hasn't changed as much as the ownership has. But after Al Rice, I think, is when it became Andrews. But the people that owned it when it closed was not the people that owned Andrews. They just kept the same name. This was the body shop back here. And then, oh, they've been closed for, what do you think, 3-4 years now? Probably a couple, 2-3 years, something like that. So it's a nice place, nice big building and stuff, but I think Sparrow Hospital owns it now, and they're trying to lease it out, but I'm not positive on that. Sparrow seems to buy up every piece of commercial property in the area for a non-profit. I don't know if they have to spend their money to stay, I don't know why, but I'm not sure. Maybe one day this will become a hospital or something. I don't know. So, but anyway, this is used to be Andrews Chevrolet. It's closed now. But when my father worked here, it was Al Rice Chevrolet, and Al Rice actually lived on the corner on the street behind where I grew up. So we were like right on the edge of the Ritchie district, but we were kind of the normal houses. And then there's their old sign, Andrews Automotive. That was after they were a Chevrolet dealership. But yeah, across the street here, there's a McDonald's now. And then down there where maybe you can see the LAFQ sign, there used to be a Texaco gas station there. There's a John dealership across the street. And then this building over here used to be a Pizza Hut, and now it's bail bonds because it's so darn close to the jail and the court. But this is kind of the northwest side of Mason. 127 is right up here. When we went over 27 before, we were actually on the other side of town. There's Mason Auto Body down here on the right, and this is the entrance ramp to hit 127 north. And then over here on the left, just over the highway here, is a plaza there with some, there's a gun store in there and a few different things. But that building, and some of you may remember, it used to be an A&P, and that's been a long time ago. I mean, I remember it as a kid, but you know, we're talking 40 years or more ago. And that was an A&P. There was a gas station there. Down there on the corner, where the big glass front building is, was AMC Jeep dealership, and then it flipped to a Chrysler dealership, and now it's just a used car, and they sell trailers and stuff there, but it's no longer a factory dealership. And then this place here on the right is the original factory. It's still open. It's Dark Container. I don't pretend to know everything that they make there, but I do know that they make styrofoam cups. I'm sure there's other things that they make too. I've had several friends growing up that worked here on the assembly line. You know, they did a lot of part-time stuff for, you know, young people and that. I never personally worked here myself. It wasn't, I always was looking for gas stations and things like that to work in. So, but that was the original factory there. You know, I don't know what goes on really in any of these buildings for sure. I just know that they keep growing and growing, and they keep getting bigger, and they keep adding buildings. So I believe they also acquired Solo Cup, I believe, a paper cup company. I'm not positive on that, but I believe they did. But this area we're passing right now, you can't really see. There's a building there that's Dart Energy. That's a different division of Dart. But then the rest of it here, I believe that's a maintenance building right there for Dart Container. And we're going to pull in here. Now, this road is called Hogsback Road. There's a little bit of history to it, not a lot. We'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, this is all Dart Container grounds still here. Now, I don't know how long this goes for, but you can see it goes for a little while. But this building here on the right, it's one of the newest ones. I'm going to guess it's 4 or 5 years old. I'm not really positive, maybe 10, but I don't think that many. I believe they do research and development in there, but I'm not very positive on that. Work on a few of the people's cars that work in there, and I believe that that's what they're in. And then this building up here, I believe, is the shipping and receiving, just because there's a lot of docks there and stuff that the semis can back up to and load and unload. Okay, this place we're about to come up to here on the right is Massman's Horse Stables. He also owns a trucking company, and he has some large equipment and stuff. But Roger was my father's best man when my mom and dad got married back in the 50s. But getting back to Dart Container there, when I was in Germany back in the late 70s, I was at a fest there and drank my drink, and just curious, looked at the bottom of the cup. It was a styrofoam cup, and it said Dart Container, Mason, Michigan. So I thought that was pretty cool, being in Germany. So, you know, if you're out and about and you get a styrofoam cup, take a peek at the bottom of it. See what it says on the bottom. Might be Dart Container, Mason, Michigan. That was the Secretary of State we just passed by. There's a couple other, you know, it's like a little plaza or whatever. Nice stripes. Little plaza or whatever. There's insurance company and a couple different things like that back in there in that plaza. The road that we're on right now actually used to be the highway from Mason to Holt, and then they built this divided highway out here. So this divided highway to our left didn't even used to be here. And this 2-lane road that we're on right now was the main road that went from Mason to Holt and then into Lansing. And then I had some relatives that lived on the side of the road out here. Their house has long been gone. Okay, this is what used to be called Spartan Speedway. You know, I'm going to guess it's a half-mile oval. They do figure eights here. It is still open. Of course, it's not now. It's down for the season. But this is called Corrigan Speedway now, which Corrigan is a oil supplier in this area of Michigan. But this used to be Spartan Speedway, and this was owned by Paul Zimmerman. He's passed away now, but Paul owned the Sunoco station that I filmed that was across the street when we were uptown getting fuel at Speedway. And, you know, of course, he'd bring his wreckers here on race night and stuff. And it was, you know, not only a business for him, but it was also a promotion for his gas station and towing service, too. And like I said, he towed for the police. Anytime you got in a wreck or anything, one of poor Paul's trucks would show up. And that was, you know, his nickname was Poor Paul's, because he just couldn't make a buck. But obviously, you can see that wasn't really true. But it was a joke about him. Paul was a super nice guy. He was a great guy. He also did some farming. Every year he'd show up at my shop with his Ranger pickup with the back end full of sweet corn, and he was out giving away free sweet corn to everybody that he knew in town. So, but he's well missed. He was a great guy. God bless you, Paul Zimmerman, and rest in peace.